Ladies and gentlemen, order in the court. Today's proceedings find the people versus James McGill.
Legal troubles got you down. Inheritance coming up short. Scammers getting the last laugh. Ha! Drug lords in your future. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. Because he'll get your case dismissed. He'll fight for you. He'll get you the defense you deserve. But only if you say the words.
Oh no! I need legal representation. Whatever shall I do? What do I say? Oh, wait. I know.
Better
Better call Saul.
La.
So without further ado, it's time to start judging Saul. Court is now in session.
You will atone.
All right, Dragon, how you doing? We have got a big episode on our plate. Last week was a lot of Gus Fring, a lot of Mike, only about 15 minutes or so of Jimmy. This week we get no Mike, we get no Gus Fring. So, Dragon, I think we want to just address right at the top before we go any further. All right, let's just go through the Mike of it all, just since Mike Ehrmantraut is going to be with us in spirit throughout the episode, Dragon, if you will.
I thought we were going to build to this a little, but okay.
I'm just getting it out of the way, my friend.
So, folks, as you know, of course, we love the character that Jonathan Banks plays, Mike Ehrmantraut. Actually, a funny quick story. I was watching Buckaroo Banzai for the first time. Young Jonathan Banks is in that.
Young Jonathan Banks is in Buckaroo Banzai?
And he has,
oh, my God.
And he has 2 scenes with John Lithgow.
Oh, my God. How have I not noticed this? I've seen Buckaroo Banzai before.
Anyway, so... the point is, of course, not only do we love Jonathan Banks in any role he inhabits, but we love Jonathan Banks because he plays such a beloved character that is Mike Ehrmantraut. As we see in the episodes, hinting at a little bit now, Mike Ehrmantraut, he is tangentially responsible for another favorite from Breaking Bad. So without Mike Ehrmantraut in Jimmy's life, not only, of course, do we not have Saul Goodman, but we also do not have a cameo from a fan favorite from Breaking Bad. So major thanks to major thanks to Mike. Of course, we love him for all the help and all the wonderfulness he brings back.
Oh, it's fine, Dragon. It's the least I could do. The show keeps paying my paychecks. I keep delivering the goods.
Thanks, Mr. Banks.
No problem. Here's a Coke.
Hooray!
Then he just turns around and gives it like a nice grandfatherly smile.
Yay for me!
Oh my God. That was a tangent. Anyways.
I got a free Coke from Jonathan Banks. I'm the happiest boy on earth.
You sure did.
Tiki, guess what happened?
Adam Warlock. Look who it is. It's Adam Warlock. Oh, that went off the rails quickly. Let's get back on the train.
So, I don't think you showed him to you. We gotta...
Yeah. So we're halfway through the series now, folks. The season, I mean, and since Mike is he's not exactly prominent in this episode, so he's just a little wee heart Mike right up here.
But it might be a little, but again, it's there because we love him.
Mm-hmm. He's here, and I'm here in your spirits, folks. Wherever you need a Jonathan Banks, I'm gonna be here.
Like a New Mexican Yoda.
But just remember, I'm younger than I was in Breaking Bad. Okay.
Right. So, anyway, so before we jump into Chicanery, which itself is a really cool title that does pay off fantastically, and we'll get there. Let's cover the director and writer as we tend.
Okay, sure.
So we have a newcomer for director here. We have crap, I might butcher his last name. Daniel Sack. I think I got it right. Daniel Sackheim.
Okay,
so Daniel Sackheim, I want to say here's the thing. He directed episodes of The X-Files, which of course Vince Gilligan worked on for many years. So I believe that's how they knew each other. So that's how we got Daniel Sackheim directing this episode. I think he did a bang-up job. He got some great visuals in the episode, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a Better Call Saul exclusive writer, of course, one of our favorite basically the guy who gets the best episodes of Better Call Saul. And I think part of that is because his sister actually is a lawyer, at least involved in
that makes sense. Yeah.
So,
especially for an episode like this, because this episode is the biggest courtroom drama we've seen in the series thus far by a long margin.
I'm 90% certain this writer's sister. I'm thinking it's Gordon Smith is the writer. So Gordon Smith wrote this one, and not only does Gordon Smith just get some of the best episodes, but he also again has the legalese. And I'm pretty sure because he's the writer I'm thinking of with the sister who's a lawyer. So I just want to make sure I'm like 90% certain of that. Now, of course, the episodes that Gordon Smith is famous for, and these just the minute I list a few of these off, you'll see like, why this guy's probably the best of the best for Better Call Saul. He was a newcomer. He wasn't part of the Albuquerque verse before Better Call Saul. He just made it his own. He's kind of reigned over the writers' room. 5-0, of course, was his breakout episode.
Oh God, another great Mike episode.
He did possibly one of my favorite episodes of Better Call Saul. He did Inflatable.
That is a dead mark for Better Call Saul as well.
And
that was a fantastic season 2 episode.
He did another very iconic Mike episode that everyone loves. He did Gloves Off.
Oh yeah, great episodes.
Connects to this episode, and that not only was Gloves Off about Mike versus Tuca, it was also Jimmy versus Chuck in a great scene. So we get a lot of that in this episode. So you get a sense Gordon Smith was the perfect writer for this episode.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, let's go through it, Dragon.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Oh God. Okay, so of course we get a brutal cold open, Dragon. Just an absolutely, like, it's so revealing. It reveals so many layers about Chuck's character and also Jimmy and their relationship. Oh God, just start us off, Dragon. Start us off.
I'll tell you one thing, it required a lot of detective work to get the timeline down. I tell you, don't get me started. I'm just gonna. Oh God. Through. So here, let me spell out the logistics, and then we'll get into it. So basically, they have a flashback to either 2000 or 2001. Jimmy at this point, as we see him, as we're going to get to, we'll spell it out. Just on the whole, Jimmy's a lawyer at this point. This is after Mama McGill's death in '99. This is about 9 or 10. This is about 9 or 10 years after that. I should. No, not after that, but after. I want to say
you can do it.
It's approximately 9 or 10 years after Rebecca met Jimmy at dinner. Oh, that's one because that was in '92. That was in '90. Rebecca and Jimmy met.
So Rebecca and Jimmy have kind of been like good associates with each other.
So they met each other,
communicating back and forth. I assume.
Yes, they met each other. They were like the last. Chronologically, they were like the last flashback we saw in 1992. 1992 being, Chuck bails Jimmy out, and then he gives him a job in the mailroom, and then the first day in the mailroom is the dinner between Rebecca meets Jimmy and Chuck. That's 1992, and this is like 9 or 10 years after that. That's where we are in this flashback here, to make it clear. And importantly, Chuck leaves HHM in 2001, so I figure this is like this is before Chuck's allergies in full force at this point. This is after the divorce. Sure. Chuck's been divorced from Rebecca, and presumably this is either the same time when he's left HHM or maybe like a year after that. So 2001.
So a couple big reveals right off the bat here, Dragon. One is that we all assume that Rebecca, the reason why they split up was to do with this mental illness, and
but that might be not the case.
And it might be the reason why they're so distant with each other now, of course, as we're going to see and get into.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just really interesting to see that their marriage actually ended on very mutual terms, where Rebecca just kind of wanted to further her career, and Chuck needed to stay grounded at HHM, and so, so I really like that reversal.
I just want to make it clear, just to make sure we're on the same page, is that as they state in the episode, this after they divorced, that's when Chuck started to develop the HM. That was after the divorce.
Yeah, sure. That's what I'm saying. Saying. Like we all expected the divorce to be because of.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just want to make it clear so we don't run any confusion in the episode. That's
all right.
But somewhat important. So anyway, so you're right though. So the episode starts lawnmower. So we start with kind of a lawnmower. I think it's gonna I could be reading into it because there's desperate why on earth we'd open with a lawnmower shot, which is really cool looking. But it's like, it's kind of like a lot of blades, a lot of really cutting stuff in the episode maybe. I know it's honestly, I know it's a stretch.
Oh man. I'm gonna have to take a second with that.
I know that one is probably the weakest sauce in terms of symbolism. I'm just saying, why would we start with a lawnmower?
Wow.
It's a cool shot. I'm just questioning why on earth.
No, it's a cool shot. I just think it has more to do with the ominous, like, ooh, there's lawnmowers and electricity outside Chuck's house. What is afoot? I'm sorry, Dragon. I admire your gusto with that. I admire like you willing to dig so deep into the imagery.
I was saying it's kind of like
Gold star for
it's a tumultuous affair. It's like a lot of spinning wheels. Jimmy's spinning some wheels in terms of being crafty. So is Chuck in this scene. I don't know.
This is Dragon. This is you at your best. Okay, I just want to say that I really appreciate this side of you.
Anyway. You're not being facetious with that comment.
No, I'm not. I really like this kind of like over analytical but fun side of you. It's great. Anyways.
All right. Okay, so essentially the flashback here is to the a very rare good. It's back to the good times between Jimmy and Chuck.
Oh yeah.
And we've never seen them this close. Period. This is the two of them. They're pulling a con together, which is astounding to start the episode.
Oh, God. Okay, I have so many things to go over here in my notes. Just like as you mentioned, they're pulling a con together, and then Chuck. Of course, that mirrors Chuck's whole like. Oh, I respect the law too much to let Jimmy get away with this. It was all just a bit of theater, And
what's great about this?
Fuck Chuck, number one.
What's great about this is that we establish right from the get-go that anything after this flashback is firmly, basically, just in chronology, means everything we've seen of Chuck past this moment makes Chuck a hypocrite, because we've seen he was willing to pull a con with Jimmy if it served his own.
Not only a con, Dragon, a con that directly involved the thing that Jimmy, Chuck created a monster with this.
He did, and of course, we'll get into it as we break this in, is how wonderfully this connects to the events of a Better Call Saul. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, this is like a clever way of, like, no matter what you think of Chuck, he's in the wrong based on this opening.
Right, yeah.
So let's see. So basically, the con, just on the broad spectrum here, just kind of go through certain things a little quick, guys. That the con is. They're pulling a con together to make Chuck's house appear functional as Rebecca remembers it from their marriage before the divorce, because Chuck wants to impress Rebecca and still has feelings for her, and of course Jimmy wants to help, and Chuck needs help from his clever brother to create the illusion, which he knows Jimmy is absolutely capable of because of all the slipping Jimmy cons all throughout. So he is using his brother's ability to con people to his advantage, and whether he feels morally, again, in this, it seems like he's accepting.
Dragon, we have to let things slide sometimes. Just only when it benefits me is when we can let it slide. That's the rule. That's the rule. That's what I like to stick to, Dragon.
And you gotta imagine,
like Jimmy, my Michael McKean. Am I improving on it? I'm trying to get it down.
It's a little pointed, but
okay.
But you see what I'm saying?
It's a bit of theater. I'm sorry.
But, it is really it is really nice. I mean, imagine there's a reading between the lines here that Jimmy's must be on like cloud nine, like, oh my god, my brother wants my brother and I
right.
I mean, even back then, it's like, hey, my brother would never go for this sort of thing. I'm having a good time, and again, it's from a place of genuinely wanting to help his brother, just kind of impress his ex-wife. Because again, a lot of feelings there, and for all he knows, maybe I can help him get back together. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like Jimmy kind of sees himself as like the matchmaker in a romantic comedy.
Yes, as far as we know, as far as I can just kind of read,
adorable when you think about it.
It is, and he's basically he's the chefs from the Italian chefs. They got to run the bistro and the Lady and the Tramp.
Oh God, right. Oh my God!
He's the guy making.
Jimmy's just picturing Jimmy with a giant chef's hat and accordion
and a mustache.
Oh God!
Big mustache.
but a mustache that's like obviously fake.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's not even his. It's like a black mustache. It's a big black mustache.
Oh my God! Oh, that's beautiful.
Anyway, this is the night, and let's Bob and Christine. This is the night.
Okay. Oh my God. Oh,
anyway,
this is going to be a long show, folks. Strap in.
Let me get back on point. I'm trying to think where my point was here. Yes, it is. It's a genuine nice thing. I think reading into it, I think Jimmy's end goal is like, hey, maybe I can get these two kids together and they can reunite and kind of get past the. As on the Insider podcast, they made reference to they never said the word divorce. Wait a minute. crap, they did say divorce. I'm saying, well, eventually they got divorced, but we know in this flashback it was unclear if they were separated or not. But they, as far as the writers were going, they were divorced. They assumed divorce, but they can always open it up to separation. They always want to address, as these ideas come about. As we saw, never discount anything in the Better Call Saul writers room. I'm just saying. The point is, I think at this point, whether it's getting past a divorce or a separation, like, hey, man, I can get these two kids together, and she can see that Chuck Spin has this condition, and they can power on through it. And they can joke about, oh, remember that ruse that one time, Chuck? But I love you anyway, man. That's kind of the
right, exactly.
Like Jimmy's imagining the way that Rebecca and Chuck can tell their grandchildren. That's what I'm imagining. That's how I'm imagining Jimmy's goal lizards, which is really nice and endearing. Anyway, let's see. So basically, what's going on with the economy? Men are putting the appliances and certain furnitures in, but not hooking it up. And they're saying, well, we have to go upstairs and hook this up. No, don't worry about it. And just make sure the lawn's mowed and everything looks all nice and presentable. Again, looks just like it did in season 1, where we had Rebecca and Chuck, inviting Jimmy over for dinner.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
We have the ring bit, which is nice, and again, that's kind of like
the ring bit kind of gets to me, man. It really does.
And again, I kind of like the mystery element of this, where we, the audience, are putting the pieces together as it goes on. I think it's kind of nice visual kind of mystery storytelling. It's like, okay, we're putting together. Obviously, this is it's letting us do some legwork, but it's coming naturally. So you have enough pieces put together, and then as we're doing now, we put together the semantics of just kind of outline to people. So let's see. Jimmy's questioning. Importantly, after the ring bit, Jimmy's questioning if Chuck is sure about this. Be sure he doesn't just want to kind of go. And as Jimmy says, wonderful line. He says, well, Chuck, in my experience, the bigger the lie, the harder it is to dig yourself out of.
Right.
And then Chuck, very interestingly, says, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So again, I annotated my notes here. The hypocritical Chuck. Again, kind of the birth of...
Bad Chuck. Bad.
Very, seriously, very hypocritical. Because,
yeah.
In that moment, he's saying, well, look, we'll worry about the moral ramifications later, which, of course, Chuck is very anti.
Well, like I said, Blue Dragon 5, the moral ambiguity only applies to me. You see, if it benefits me, Charles and McGill, then it's fine.
Hey, maybe we can ease off the...
all right, I'm sorry.
Anyway, but you see what I mean? That's kind of a great... In one, we see Jimmy at one point was the far more moral one out of the two brothers here. And of course, Chuck would have... In this moment, Chuck's cutting kind of morality a little bit of slack here. Later on, of course, he won't give Jimmy an inch.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, let's see. Moving on. By the way, they shot this scene on film, and a few new tricks in kind of the electromagnetic hypersensitivity. They add some new kind of tricks to it in this scene. Just a little thing to broad spectrum point out there. So Chuck's lighting candles. He cooks a very impressive meal. Whatever he
does, man. Seriously.
Whatever negative thing we may say about Chuck on this program tonight, we got man can cook.
Dragon, can we renounce the first fuck Chuck because of this dinner that he lays out? Should we make his tally down to 0?
Sure, redacted.
Okay.
Are you actually keeping track?
Yes, I'm going to keep track in my mind. Yes, I'm going to keep a mental note of it.
Are you sure we're not? Okay, well, so is that 0 now?
It's at 0 now with the trout. Yes,
okay,
with the dinner it goes back to 0.
Yeah, seriously, really good cooking skills. Anyway, again, without any electricity, so that means that gas stove and stuff. Boy, it's really impressive. Let's see. So he welcomes Rebecca all lovingly. Oh, hey, welcome Rebecca. So Chuck. So here's continuing.
Seriously, like Rebecca, it's like they haven't missed a beat. You know what I mean? It's like it's so good to see you, Chuck. You're looking radiant.
Honestly, it's
cute kids.
I like Rebecca more here than we had before, but to be fair, we didn't have a lot with Rebecca in the previous episode. With
Rebecca's really growing on me, man. I hope she sticks around as a character.
Yeah, I mean, I had nothing against her or anything. I'm just saying we only had 2 scenes with her. Okay, well, she's receptive to Jimmy, and then the other scene we're in bed where we kind of cement. Chuck, we're focused on Chuck in that scene versus Rebecca. Now we're focused on Rebecca a little bit more, which I think is not only smart move, it's a natural. So Chuck, continuing the concept, and here's where the con really comes alive. So, and this is important.
I just have written down on my notes: Enter Rebecca, round 1.
So Chuck's story.
I'm glad you appreciate that.
Yeah, So Chuck's story here is that the power went out because of and this is important, because of a clerical error. And the clerical error.
Here we go, Dragon.
This was great. This is great. So the clerical error was
prequel
essentially
stuff right here. This is the prequel within the prequel.
Yes. This is amazing. And we love a prequel. We love all the prequel series. So,
like prequel movies don't do that well, but prequel TV shows tend to do really good.
Amazing, man. I'm not watching. I hear again, Taken's getting somewhat good. At least it's getting good audience reviews.
Really? Okay.
That's the thing. Again, it's again. See how that's doing because that's a prequel series. Anyway, so the ad, there was an address switch on. Basically, some knucklehead didn't pay it, as Chuck said. Someone didn't pay their electrical bill, which means the electricity got shut off, and basically the electric company screwed up the addresses. They screwed up 512 to 215. And this scene, Jimmy's in the scene. This is what gave Jimmy the idea. Chuck coming up. He
just takes that into his mental Rolodex and files it away,
which adds such a great level to the switcheroo we got with Mesa Verde. Like, oh my God, Chuck seeded that.
Right.
Chuck, it's like a comeuppance for Chuck. Oh my God, it's so perfect. So basically, they shut the power off to the wrong place, and luckily his neighbor had camping gear. Camping gear and candles and stuff, and gas lanterns, very importantly. So, and I love this. Jimmy is his backup and his yes man for the story, and of course, this is where Jimmy plays through slipping Jimmy's
strengths. Gonna build to the yes man, Dragon. Like that's like that's kind of a theme for the episode. It's just kind of like slowly but surely through the season, the A team is coming together, and it's glorious.
Yes, Wait a minute.
Wait, that's not the A-Team.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What theme?
I think we're singing Hawaii 5. What's the A-Team theme? I'm sorry.
Seriously, you forgot the A-Team theme?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Anyways,
what's the Hawaii 5
from that nonsense?
I just completely forgot. I'm sorry. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I like how you went with that for a minute before realizing it was wrong.
There's a piece of it together. Wait a minute. I'm thinking, like, am I hearing it wrong? Is it like, is it like kind of like a POV thing, like a perspective thing?
Right,
like,
yeah.
The music notes sound different to him.
Oh God.
Anyway, back on track here. So again, Jimmy's the backup. Jimmy's the yes man here. He's selling the story like Slipping Jimmy would. Absolutely. He's like saying, oh yeah, and he's basically kind of prodding kind of Rebecca. It's like, well, we could go out, or he's kind of
right.
Yeah, basically without doing it so directly. Again, it's brilliant here. Again, the brothers working together very well. Again, Chuck kind of selling and he's kind of doing Walter White kind of failed to do way back at the end of season 5 of Breaking Bad, where the whole gas, he spilled gas on himself, so they had to stay in a motel.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, again, like he's spinning the Walter White story, and Jimmy's backing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's see, going forward. So basically, Rebecca signs off. Oh yeah, we can just stay here. Yeah, sure. So dinner goes.
She makes like a fancy term of it. She's like, I have it written down somewhere. She's like,
it has a rustic vibe to it.
Yeah, she has a. Let's see, it's an eau cuisine camp out or something like that. Something to that effect.
Let's remember, Rebecca's very cultured.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I really like that level to her character because we were really ambiguous about what Rebecca did because we knew she played an instrument. We didn't know what. So she's a violinist, and we knew she had music that Chuck played on the piano.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So Rebecca's game for the camp out option, and dinner goes well. We mirror the Rebecca episode from season 2 a little bit with kind of staging and everything, and the fact that when Jimmy leaves the room, they talk about him, and they're kind of like, "Oh man, Jimmy's he's hung his own shingle. He's really doing he's doing it." Chuck, and again, this is the tragic bit of it all. Chuck now is in, at least whether it's genuine or not, probably not. He's just saying to Rebecca, he's in support of his lawyer brother.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he doesn't want to be a downer, saying, "Oh yeah, I hate my brother becoming a lawyer now." He doesn't want to bring down.
Sure. Like in the back of his mind, it's probably eating at him. But and of course, the tension's there because while we don't know, we know that the electricity allergies didn't cause the divorce, but we don't know that Jimmy didn't have something to do with it. You know what I mean? That's still up in the air.
I've always had the theory, and again, we'll see if it happens or not. I've always had some theory that Jimmy somehow there's some correlation between Jimmy and like Chuck getting electrocuted. I don't know why.
I know. You've been saying that since day one, man.
Again, it's kind of like the Rose Quartz birth. The way, well, not the,
oh God, right?
The Steven, it's always like that. That to me is the one flashback we need to get on this show. We need to see the origin of Chuck's illness. That's what we gotta see. Like, we need to see the birth of Steve. We need to see the birth of Chuck's illness.
The birth of Chuck's illness.
Yes. We don't see the birth of Chuck. It's gonna be nasty.
Oh no! I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Oh no. Anyway, so, going forward here. Let's see. Rebecca's okay. Here's what we get in the dough. So basically, the crux of this is Rebecca's been on tour as a violinist around the world, and I've always gotten. Well, I'm not going to go into many tangents. I'm going to power on through it. So Rebecca's been on a tour as a violinist.
Thank you.
Which is what she's been doing ever since the divorce, and may have led to the divorce a little bit. Who knows? She's always been the highfalutin type. And she's always been kind of going around being the cultured violinist. But she's taking her all sorts of places, playing in lobbies and hotels and probably concert halls, I would imagine. This is a really nice bit. Jimmy's like washing the dishes in the other room, and he gets to see his handiwork. Like, oh man, this is going well.
I'm glad you bring that up. Because Jimmy is just like, he's so pleased with himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really sweet moment that's about to be undercut in a really dark way. Is that basically they're reminiscing? Chuck and Rebecca are reminiscing about Salisbury
and the crazy old lady that chased them out. Oh God,
I just love this. I would love to see this in flashback too. Just this idea that I love them starting stories. Remember when we tried to go Salisbury, they didn't go Salisbury because they were in a train station, chased by a little old lady on a scooter.
But Dragon, it's so creepy how it mirrors what's about to happen. You know what I mean? It's so powerful on a rewatch.
Yes. So Jimmy looks upon the two. He's very happy for Chuck, and it's like the con has gone successfully. Hooray! Let's break out the champagne. Let's party, man. But unfortunately, here's the tragic note. Here's the tragedy before all goes. Sure. Is that she contemplates a residency. Which means that she's contemplating staying in one place. She doesn't say where, but she's contemplating staying in one place, which could bode well for Chuck's chances. And as that is said, all is going well until,
oh boy,
just as she says that, she gets a phone call. Phone rings,
and then suddenly
this scene is so well executed.
It turns into a horror movie at this point.
And again, this is what I'm talking about. Like, they're shooting on film, and they have this new method using the new camera trick.
Okay, tell me, yeah.
Essentially, with this camera trick, what they're doing is like they're kind of like laying film on top of each other, so they can have like Chuck have this like three Chuck, like a doubled vision with Chuck effect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have this cool like little thing, and doing it on film gives it that like you can lay it on top of each other vibe. So essentially, what happens is there's a lot of tension in it's like the landmine's going to be triggered vibe. It's like, she has like a weapon in her hand. Basically, it's like kryptonite. She has kryptonite in her hand, and she's holding it closer, like kryptonite or uranium in her hand. Like, she's holding it. It's getting closer and closer to Chuck, and like Chuck's getting uncomfortable. Now we have like that as it really gets in his zone. It's like that's when we get the doubled effect.
Right.
And what's cool is the way they mirror is that it jumps forward in the future a second. So basically, you get to see his action.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Basically, when the thing happens, you get to see it happen before it actually happens if you freeze frame it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of a new take on every time they do a Chuck affected by the hypersensitivity, they do it a little differently each time if you really look at it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so let's see. So she moves closer, and I love Jimmy's sense of dread in the scene of like, oh.
Oh, I know. He's just like, and he's just desperately like, Rebecca, and Rebecca's just like, and I love how clueless Rebecca is as well. It's like she's just like, she just totally does it. It's like Chuck moves into the kitchen, so Rebecca's just like, oh, I guess everyone's moving into the kitchen. I guess I'll go into the kitchen too.
It's like the old joke of of Clark. There's a really obscure dumb joke like Lois Lane and Clark Kent.
Oh God.
She doesn't know that like she gets like a kryptonite. She's showing it to Superman and showing it to Clark Kent, and she doesn't know it's Superman. And it's like like he's like getting all like he can't hold it, and it's like oh God, he's acting real sick,
Right,
sick or something.
right.
Smallville. It's that sort of gag where so essentially again there's a lot of tension scene again. Jimmy's like, he's really sweating for Chuck, and it's getting closer and closer. And then she leaves she goes across the room. She's writing it down with a pen or something, the information on the phone, like talking like a concert button or something. And like then
she's talking to I think the person who schedules her shows. I think
something
something like that.
Because she's in town for presumably a few days, as she will be later in the episode. But let's see.
I love just the faces that Michael McKean makes. Man, they're just like practically inhuman. You know what I mean? They're just like warped.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
The score was really great in this scene too. By the way, just like that tense score that is pounding. Again, Dave Porter doing his best stuff here. Like again, Dave Porter doesn't really get a lot of time to shine aside from just like kind of generic kind of it's like kind of our Albuquerque verse music, which is good. I'm not trying to fault it. I'm just saying this is where you get like really good kind of new stuff with Porter, which is really neat. So again, this phone moves closer and again moves away for a bit, but then I just love that censor where it comes back like Jaws. It's like, oh God, then it's like with a sigh of relief.
Right.
Then she comes back oblivious. This is where the oblivious stuff kicks in. Unfortunately, it's like Chuck goes to the other room after she's just sitting there writing something that he just leaves the room so he can get away. And then there's that great bit where Jimmy's like, okay, Chuck, you okay? I'm fine. I'll be fine. And then she comes in. It's like, unfortunately for them, she likes to multitask. As she's bringing additional dishes while she's on the phone. And that's when things reach the boiling point. This is the bit you're talking about. This is where Jimmy's trying to intervene. He's like, Rebecca, he's just This is where the scene hits that high boiling point. It's like, oh my God, it's so tense. Again, so mundane, by the way. It's
just someone on a phone. It's someone taking a telephone call.
It's like Luthor torturing Superman with kryptonite. When in reality, it's like actually it's like okay, we'll just doing the dishes while she's doing a phone call. This one guy's just taking it not so well. And then this is really a bit where we jump a frame. But if you freeze frame, you can see like him throwing the phone before he actually does. He throws the.
I know what you're talking about. Sure.
He tosses the phone, and she's like, oh, "What the?" She's just, what'd you do that for?
What was that?
Yeah. So Chuck tosses the phone to Rebecca's displeasure. She feels she's very offended by this, and she questions it. And you feel, and this is like the blink and you miss it moment for the episode. I'm sure you appreciate it. Or for just a moment before he screws up, for a moment you feel sympathy for Chuck in the scene. You feel sympathy for him as he's being affected, and as he tosses the phone, we feel for him like, oh, poor Chuck. Of course, we know why in the future. I'm saying this past Chuck, we feel sympathy for him.
Yeah, sure.
So, oh no, he can't. He should tell her, but he's just, and he a part of him probably wants to tell her, but he just can't. Like Jimmy saying, "Well, answer her, man."
It's a pride thing, man. It comes down to the Walter White pride. You know what I mean?
Yep,
pride
and
gets
it's like
to people in the ABQ verse.
And again, Chuck has his moment of change here, where he can tell her, and then things will go a lot better for him and everything in the future. But he
He basically, Jimmy's basically saying, like, would you rather she knows about your illness or she think you're a raging asshole? Essentially, I'm saying
before that, there's that bit where it's like, he calls Rebecca rude for using her cell phone.
Oh God, I know. Which is just, it is very rude to use a cell phone when you're in the company of others.
And that's the thing. And then after that, Jimmy's like, he almost tells her. He almost tells her, he said, well, if you're not going to tell her I am. And then Chuck stops, you will not. And then, of course,
I love that moment because it's just like such a mutual, like, brotherly, like, yeah, now that you've said it, I know I can't, or else I'd be crossing the line. So darn you, Chuck.
This is when the Albuquerque verse does this sort of thing, and we always applaud it for. As I want to point out here, is that they do this thing where they go unconventional with it, where after Chuck insults Rebecca, they get very in a really cruel way, but he doesn't have to be. He's just being unnecessarily cruel for his pride, I guess. And a part of you feels sympathy before he says that.
Sure.
So then, all the sympathy starting to melt away, and you're starting to, okay, this is where the Chuck we're dealing with in the present now. Where I love that she's playing. I love the way Rebecca plays offended, because she is very polite and apologetic. She apologizes, and she basically excuses herself instead of being yelling at him or anything. She doesn't yell at him. She says, "Well, I'm sorry you feel that. I see it. she apologizes for, I'm sorry. I didn't know you felt so strongly about that. And then she leaves, and then Jimmy's pleading with him to go after her and explain. Just says, would you rather think you're a raging prick versus versus understanding you?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And again, that's when the almost tells her, and then she's on the phone on the way out. It's a last great shot here is that she's on the phone as she's leaving the door, which is like there's the thing that's going to really bite Chuck in the end, and. While Chuck is there's that divide between the brothers. And it's an excellent shot in capturing all three characters in the scene. And it's like the scene embodies the root of Chuck's problem, his pride and his ego. He's demanding the world to change for him, and versus him changing for the world, or him kind of acknowledging a weakness. That's this scene encapsulates the root of Chuck's problem.
Of course. Okay.
Less the illness, more the dealing with the illness.
Okay, so back to present day, we have Jimmy with a...
I love this image so much.
With a goldfish in the waiting room of the vet's office, and the vet is not happy with him.
Good old Joe DeRosa vet. Now, yeah. I gotta tell you, this scene paid off far better than I thought it would.
Oh, it really did, man. It's great.
I'm not saying I had low expectations. I'm just saying I didn't know they were going to address something, and I thought there's like a fan service out there dressing just for tiki, and I was like, it's sort of gay. So I just love the brilliance of the shot. They did like posters and still images of the shots. All those brilliance. Okay, Jimmy's at the vet, and what's the most what's the most conspicuous pet that Jimmy could bring in?
Just an off-the-shelf goldfish.
Something that you imagine is like pretty much untreatable. I mean, I assume that goldfish are untreatable. I had no idea.
Right.
That might be my ignorance showing. I don't know, but I was amazed that the vet actually got offended by the goldfish thing. He cares about everything. This vet is awesome. So again, what we established with the vet is
like don't feed her too much. Like put her in a big bowl, get a bubbler.
They chastise him. Don't put her in. You don't bring her here in a bag. She's suffocating, man. So essentially, this is where I was gonna introduce the Mike thing here because again, Mike brought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We already. Yeah. So the point is, again, thanks to Mike didn't have contribution to the episode. In that he of course we know Mike and the vet have an arrangement. So the idea is off screen.
I'm here in spirit, fellas.
Yeah, the idea is off screen that Jimmy said went to Mike saying I need a guy, and he pointed him to the vet.
Mm-hmm.
So the vet tells after the mission, I'm just reading through the thing, after the mistreating the goldfish, oxygen in the
bag. Jimmy basically says very specifically he needs a highly skilled, high-end, discreet, real pro.
With a light touch.
Yeah, with a light touch.
The minute he said light touch, without giving it away yet, let's just say we had an idea of an old friend.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, oh, boy.
Especially when the vet says, do we need him to fit into a tight space?
Yes, that coupled with the light touch, my ears are standing like, wait a minute, light touch. And then, like, the tight space confirmed, like, oh, we know it's going to be good. Oh, boy.
They're like kids at Christmas.
Yes, oh, boy, reference Santa Claus. Oh.
We're going to get Lavelle Crawford as a Christmas present.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Jimmy had a really great line about the goldfish thing. A great rhetoric. He said, "I'll be Jacques Cousteau. I'll be a regular Jacques Cousteau." It's really kind of good line, taking in all the goldfish stuff. But yes, right. Let's just say it's an organic way to build. It's not only an organic way to build our cameo, but it's a really great organic way to build our Saul Goodman's how Saul Goodman gets his contacts. Not only through Mike, because Mike, Saul always knows a guy who knows a guy, which is usually Mike, but. Think about with the vet, he has various contacts for whoever he needs.
Yeah, sure. It's a very natural way to work in the Rolodex that he develops through Breaking Bad. Sure.
Yes, it's a great organic way. I'm very impressed by that. The vet actually went somewhere, not only just like cool on Mike's side, actually someone's going to benefit. Saul Goodman. That's a really neat idea. Okay.
All right, so let's see. Now we have Kim in a position I'm sure we've all been in at least once in our life where we have really bad news that we have to tell someone that's like super proud of us, right? Like we messed up in some way. Oh, yeah. Man, you can just feel poor Kim's pain here.
Oh, I can relate.
Oh, yeah.
So we're at the Banking Regulation Committee, the place we were in episode, last season where kind of Chuck screwed up royally.
Oh boy,
So they
right.
let out, and we have a very nervous Kim because we, the audience, know, okay, well, she's going to disclose this to Kevin and Paige. Just kind of tell them
Mhm.
what's going on. That full disclosure just to make sure they're not blindsided or like they get really mad or anything. Very like a responsible lawyer.
Right.
So, and importantly,
I
is the
love
build
the
up.
I love the Kevin pleasantries.
So with the pleasantries, we have Mr. Ogeta, or if I'm probably butchering his name, Mr. Ogeta. The point is
Yeah,
the banking commission guy. He's very pleasant with Kevin. Basically, the idea is the whole thing went a lot better than it did when Chuck was there.
yeah. Right.
And of course, this is something the ultimate pleasantry. You and I love the match. I don't know if you caught this or not. They were talking golf,
Oh God.
which I'm sure Hamlin, like in the background, like Hamlin has like a newspaper and sunglasses on, and
Oh God.
he
Oh
plopped it
no.
down, and like a single tear shed like on the bottom of the sunglasses because had that meeting gone well in the previous season,
Oh
he would be
no. Oh
talking about
no.
golf with them, and you know how
Oh
much Howard
no.
Hammond loves golf and tea time.
Of course. Of course.
I'm just saying, you gotta imagine like,
Did we officially swing the pendulum and we're gonna start referencing Howard Hamlin with golf now?
well, I'm saying it was started with golf and then it went to
Okay.
tea.
Okay.
So, I'm just saying, is Hamlin
I'm just checking the status of our inside jokes.
better yet? Howard Hamlin's he's kind of like a Bond. It's like the James Bond villains, where on
Oh
the golf
God.
course where they talk business stuff, and on the side they have a little table set up. On the little table set up,
Right. Yeah. I know what you mean.
he's
Oh
having
God.
tea and everything on the side. Ernie's bringing him tea. Thank you, Ernie.
Oh
Because
God.
see, Howard Hamlin's a lot
Oh
nicer.
no. Oh no. Poor Ernie.
No, but Howard Hamlin's a lot nicer than Ernie's fine, but he's still catty though, so he's still like, he could be happier. Anyway,
Oh God.
so
Oh
golf,
wow.
golf tangent aside.
That was
Sorry,
a tangent. Yes. Oh God.
so golf tangent aside. So the point is, the meeting lets out, and there's a line here. I want to get your take on this, Tiki. That
Okay.
Geta, the bank commission guy, he mentions, oh, it's good that very good work, Miss Wilkes. Or nice to have this, implying Mesa Verde. Nice to have this off the docket, which implies one of two things. I took
Sure.
it as it's done, and Kim basically went in there. She did well. She's waiting on the outside from the kind of finish, wrapping up pleasantries, and basically she got the whole thing done in this scene. That's what I took away from it. There's a chance that it could be that it's scheduled. It's either scheduled or it's done. I think it's done.
I don't have much to say about that, man. I'm sorry. I wasn't reading too much into it.
I'm just asking you to take one position or the other. Which do you think? Do you think it's?
You're putting me on the pressure here, man. I don't
Do you
really
th-
have an opinion. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I'm just going to blindly assume that okay, that everything's done right now.
No, I mean, that's what I would assume too. Yeah.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry.
It sounds like it's pretty like they're shaking hands, like everything went well. Like we're done. Like Kim shrugged.
Yeah, like the floor can finally be wiped of that whole fiasco. Because I would imagine after the Chuck thing, like that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths in that office.
Exactly. 'Cause it was an embarrassing faux pas.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, basically the way Chuck kind of took it, and then anyway, so then basically, I think in the implication that everything went well was that Walktall's suggesting, hey, we're gonna have dinner to celebrate with a nice dinner, very pleasant on Walktall's part. And it's like, well, we're gonna get probably like a steak dinner. I think he said steak dinner.
Yeah, he said steak. Yeah.
So again, really nice kind of our friendly Texan bank manager, Mesa Verde, of course, and
He's like
then
the opposite of like the evil Texan, like the greedy oil man Texan. You know what I mean?
yes, like
He's
Texas.
like the nice version of that.
Yes, he is. So I've always loved. Walktall's always been a fun part of the show. I thought just when he shows up, he's always been like kind of a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks for the Kim disclosure. Thanks.
Okay, so Kim is basically just like, she really wants to, like, Wattel is just like, whoa, we have a lot of work for you. And Kim's just like, okay, we need to go over something. Yeah, so the guy that I share a legal space with, Jimmy McGill, his brother Chuck, remember the guy who royally fucked you over the first time?
Who
That Chuck?
muddied the water?
Muddied the water. Yes. Apparently, this Chuck is saying that his brother Jimmy directly transposed the numbers, and then of course I love Paige. She's just like, well, that's pretty baroque, don't you think? And so, anyways, Tim's basically warning them like it could make some noise in public, and it's better if you heard it from me and not someone else. And then, just very, very humbly, she's just like, now, I know if you're not comfortable staying with me, we can discuss options. And All right, so Kevin gets on
this
the.
best great. I love
Yeah,
Kevin
this is
walked
great.
off
This
for
is
this
great.
moment. Okay, it's perfect, just perfect.
Charles McGill can sling whatever mud he wants, but
Mud.
if there's one thing I cannot abide by, it's a man who can't own up to his own mistakes. He's not going to screw me out of the best legal counsel I've ever had.
That is a beautiful moment right there.
Now, who's up for some steak dinner, ladies?
Oh god, again. He's offering steak after a nice compliment. That's
Right.
a guy I can get behind.
All right.
But
So we have,
he has all the faith in the world in Kim Luxor. But importantly, after Kevin leaves, then Paige raises a question.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Yeah. And of course, I think this is going to play in further where
Yes.
I definitely think Paige is going to be the one to turn on Kim rather than Kevin. I think Paige is the one who's a little bit smarter about the situation.
Well, I agree with you to a point on that. I think Paige is going to be the one kind of like, I think Kevin's like the blinded employer where Paige is like the one in the trenches, like, facilitating the deals. And so she's like raising, I think it's less like she's going to turn on. I think she's the one just addressing it because she's questioning, like, are you sure you can handle this?
Right.
I don't think it's going to be like, like turn on like a dime or anything. It's going to be like, hey, are you sure?
Fair
Like,
enough,
she's
fair
like
enough.
raising the practical question. The other is like, wow, business is good. Money's coming out. I don't care.
Money.
Money.
Right.
And then, of course, one of the best things with Ray Seahorn here is like only she. Again, you don't even have to give Kim dialogue for her to be great here. Just when Ray Seahorn just gives that sigh of relief.
Sure.
Just that ultimate, that very relatable sigh of relief. Like, oh god, I just dodged the bullet there.
Okay. So then we get some great foreshadowing with the exit sign, which will come back in a very haunting way.
Yes, Hamlin.
Yes. So the court's getting set up, to basically going over the semantics of how Chuck is going to testify. They're going to run without mics or lights, but unfortunately they cannot turn off the exit signs, and also the tape recorder.
Steve Jobs flashback on that one.
Yes. And then the tape, yeah, right. And then the tape recorder is going to be played from the back of the building, or is it the stenographer, Dragon?
The court reporter, which essentially is stenographer.
Okay, cool.
It'll be moved like to the very,
right. Okay, and so Hamlin, I love this shot. Shot.
Yes, I'm glad you brought it up. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, can I just take a moment real quick to say, of course, as always, Patrick Fabian, he's wonderful in this episode. He's always great because we always had the very enigmatic Howard Hamlin. You never quite know what's going on with the guys. And now we got a lot more Hamlin stuff this episode.
We did, Dragon. As you said, I think this season's going to pay off Hamlin in a big way as we move forward.
Which I think he's just a great in between good and bad. He's covering his own interest, but he's not unlikable about it. He's very
exactly.
He just wants to keep the big company spinning. That's all he wants to do. He's very humble. Very humble. He just wants to keep his tea time and his tea flowing.
Mm-hmm. So Chuck is just being very facetious when Howard asks, if he needs to go through with this. He's just like, well, now, Howard, I'm the only person who can adequately explain the context of Jimmy's actions.
Now, again, that's purely Chuck's use to make it clear to folks out there. Again, as Howard points out, we don't need Chuck to give his testimony. Again, there's enough with Chuck and the there's enough with Howard and the PI. They don't even need.
Exactly.
They don't even need Chuck, and Chuck's there because he's convinced, as he says. I'm sorry, Dan. I mean, just kind of
No, it's fine.
Real quick, I just want to point out that what Chuck specifically says. He's the only one who can explain the context. That he's not the only one who can explain the context of the tape. Anyone could do that. He's convinced that he's the only one suited for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so then let's see. So then yeah. I'm sorry, I got off track. Hamlin's basically just bringing up that it's his job to safeguard the firm's reputation.
This is great. So what brought it on is that there's this fantastic character bit between Hamlin and Chuck, where Chuck calls Hamlin. Hamlin's just saying, Chuck, I'm not. There's a lot of pressure to put on you. Are you sure? Basically, Chuck calls Hamlin on. This isn't about my health. This is a PR concern. This is about PR, which basically is a PR concern, which Hamlin then points out, frankly, oh, God, this is one of Hamlin's great moments right here. I'm sorry, you don't mind if I go through it, do you?
No, I mean, I'm just, go ahead.
I'm saying with that, Hamlin frankly points out that, they lost the client because of Chuck's condition, and because he
and
didn't keep.
specifically because he had the documents not at HHM where they
Yes.
should have been. Right.
Yes,
right.
because I just love this Hamill point out again. This is like we're getting some in-depth stuff with Hamill here. Like again, he's caught in between this crazy. He's pointing out the facts. Like, Chuck, because you're craziness, we lost. It's less. Jimmy was at fault, but it's less. This would be completely avoided if we did stuff by the books. If we did stuff at HHM, and again, and then is the part of your bringing up there where Hamlin's job is to safeguard the reputation of the company,
Right.
which Chuck is endangering.
Well, you see, Jimmy broke the law, and he deserves disbarment, not a slap on the wrist. We need to let justice be done, and through the heavens it fall. Fuck Chuck. 1.
Are you sure it's not? Sorry, I'm just trying to. Yeah, you're right. One. We redacted the early one. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Well, remember that's the awesome line from the teaser, which I still think plays really great. We add a little bit to it here, where it's the most evil Chuck, out of context Chuck.
Oh, it
line.
totally is. It totally
He's
is.
so overconfident, walking out of the room all confidently. We leave Howard in the room. He's just, let justice be done, though the heavens may fall. He's like the most evil.
And then then Howard is like, well, I just want to save face here, man. Come on, you're making my job so much harder than it needs to be.
It's such a visually cool, clever idea that Hamlin's alone because he's alone in the room while we hear Chuck on the outside talking to Allie. Allie's going to be the prosecutor guy. So while he's talking to Allie about, oh yes, everything's fine, and basically saying, like, hey, we got all the sun, and Hamlin's showing, it's like shows the divide between Hamlin and Chuck visually, and it's like in shadow and stuff. It's really like Hamlin's feeling like he's in the dark and alone, which is great stuff.
Good, really good.
So before we just to build to it here, so as we mentioned a little bit, Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould, they were terrified ever since the beginning, informing the series Bible for Better Call Saul. They've been terrified of their worst nightmare has been doing a courtroom scene where it's going to be either a boring courtroom drama, where if they're really, as Breaking Bad tends to be, they're very realistic. If they're really, they watched actual court. They watched the trial that was not just a trial. They watched many trials, but they also watched. For this, they watched a bar hearing, a bar association hearing that a lawyer and a female lawyer in the identical situation of Jimmy McGill was on trial, and they watched it too, which took hours. It's like so they bored themselves to tears watching it, but they watched it. Basically, that if they did it right on the money, it would be boring and it might go on long. Or the other fear is that it'll be same old kind of your courtroom procedural. And they found an awesome loophole in their kind of their Bible because they've always said from the very beginning, and tonally, bear in mind tonally, Jimmy McGill is Saul Goodman and Jimmy McGill are the kind of lawyers that are going to settle on the courtroom steps instead of going inside doing like a big kind of fancy trial. And of course, this hearing is a loophole in doing a fast and loose hearing, which means there's a lot of leniency. Is that they're hearing the kind of stuff so they can judge lawyers versus judge kind of right and wrong kind of crimes. And it is edited and focused. Tell me if you got this, Steve. I think it's edited and focused on the people, not the reveals. Like in your courtroom procedures, like Law and Order science, always like the reveal, like where did the guy touch you? Here,
oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. This is all character stuff, right?
Like we're looking at all these these little moments. It's all about the stuff that's going on. If anything, outside.
The stuff that's actually going on in the courtroom that they're actually on surface level is not really that interesting. But since we know the characters and we know what's going on and we know kind of like what's happening inside everyone's heads, it just becomes like very, very tense. It's it's like Hitchcock shooting a courtroom drama or something.
Exactly.
Like
that TK is a perfect analogy. Yes. And with that, it's the last thing I'll say about it is I don't want to drag them too long. Just overall in the courtrooms. I'm just saying so we don't have to reiterate later on. So, again, I think I'm so proud of them. They found a way of they kind of broke their little rule, and they found a way of like doing it so interestingly, and then kind of like it kind of makes you wonder if they ever did a courtroom thing, they might be able to pull it off if they wanted to go that route. They don't have to because again, they found a way just on the outskirts. They're really really good, clever stuff. So anyway, so we overlay sequence here. I'm sorry, take it.
Yeah, I really like the sequence with Kim and Jimmy getting ready, like just the small little touches, like Jimmy kind of like rubbing Kim's shoulder and then Kim pulling off the thread on the suit. Really, really nice stuff. And then, of course, that's all being done as the prosecutor is giving his opening statement, the prosecuting attorney on Chuck's side.
Robert Alley. And of course, I love the ominous reserved parking thing they walk past, and I love this.
Oh God!
Again, Chuck being as sanctimonious as he is, I love
Well,
that he has.
I need reserved parking, Dragon. I feel like I have that right.
Guys, that's it's just this is a great divide. Like, Jimmy and Kim are so humble. They're sort of walking their way there. Chuck has to have the reserve park. He's not even going to be there first. They have to. I do like that we build Chuck's entrance, which has a very important thing when he does enter. So
Of course.
So again, so all that, all of again, this is what I'm talking about. How they're shooting it differently than any other procedural. We're focusing on our guys coming to the courtroom as they're going through the opening statements. We're not. It's not like, even with Daryl, it's not like Daryl, which is great. They do their opening statements in season 2, like very kind of directly. But it's we're doing a completely new visual style. Well, not in a very different visual style, I should say. So we covered our prosecutor's opening statements, and now Kim. Now she's in there. She gets into hers, which just to boil it down, she spotlights, this is a personal matter between brothers.
Wait. I actually have it written down.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see. Sorry.
So Kim Wexler's retort to the opening statements. Go.
Okay. You've already read Mr. McGill's PPD. We don't dispute he broke into his brother's house. It's an act he deeply regrets. But there's another side to the story. One not about calculation or ill intent, but one about brothers, whose relationship after years of strain finally broke. I believe that once you have a full picture, you'll understand that James McGill is an asset to the legal community and should remain in full standing. God bless Kim Wexler.
I tell you, Tiki, it's a line like
that's
that.
Like that. That's like the ultimate. Like you made a really good commercial, Jimmy.
Oh God, yes. Oh jeez, we need those feel good Kim Wexler.
It's like fortune cookies or something.
Yes. I think maybe that was the analogy. That might have been the analogy. I don't know. I can't remember. We're very lost in one. We're still very lost in one analogy. We use the kind of all the good Kim Wexler lines.
Right. Anyway.
So, regardless, yes. Oh, by the way, just very, very, very brief maintenance. You're going to appreciate those. Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan, if they're listening, I mean, guys, you should really work on maybe a team with Johnny Lee Hancock. Who knows? Do a Sherman Brothers biopic, because you guys know how to do kind of the Warring Brothers.
Oh my God, yes they do. Oh wow, that would.
We have Johnny Lee Hancock direct, and we have Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan.
It's John Lee Hancock, not Johnny Lee.
Oh, I said Johnny.
Yeah, I think you were mixing it up with Johnny Lee Miller.
All right. Sorry.
Anyways.
I'm saying Johnny. We're vaguely familiar. We've talked about him a lot.
Johnny Williams.
All right. Point taken. Anyway, sorry, John Lee Hancock. We got it.
All right.
So, let's see. Moving on. Sorry, just going through after the statement.
Yeah.
She makes a statement.
After the statement, we have Hamlin.
Yes, we also have that great ticking clock shot. Remember, we had the reflection of our 3 chairman guys.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Allie calls the witnesses, which Hamlin's on the stand. He recounts the events he and Bright Bill. We finally got a last name on David.
Bright Bill. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So we got a last name with PI. We acknowledge him because they want to put him on the stand because we need to make sure we get the ending of this episode. If they have to cut out some scenes here and there, I presume that's the reason.
Sure.
So Kim cross-examines Howard. She's asking about basically just to boil down. She's asking about the Charlie. Sorry, don't mind if I'm blowing it down, do you?
No, it's fine. You're right. She's basically like getting at the fact that that Hamlin really respected Jimmy.
Yeah, asking about the Charlie Hustle days of back he liked Jimmy. He saw a potential in him. She asked why Jimmy wasn't hired as a lawyer, and then this is great. I love this. So Hamlin claims it was a fear of looking like there would be fear of nepotism. Hiring from within. It's like family favoritism. And then we have the perfect retort to that. It's the perfect retort to that absurdity, which is so good to put in the episode. I think we've toyed around with this here and there. Tegan and I have been brought up like the other H and HHM, as Kim phrases it here. Who's the other H and HHM?
Right, of course.
The perfect retort to nepotism. Like Gordon Smith is a genius writer sometimes. He's a genius writer. I'm saying these are the lines this is the guy who wrote 5-0. This is the guy. So And I love what that line too. There's like a little bit of pathos that this is like calling back to Kim and Howard Hamlin and that backstory callback. Remember when he explained that his father saw him being the other H and H. It's a callback to that line, maybe.
Sure, I can see that. Yeah,
I mean, I just like that we're putting these two characters at odds with each other, Kim and Hamlin. These two characters have a lot of
because
respect
they have a lot of history with each other. They go way back. Yeah,
exactly.
right.
They're not villains to each other, but they're both subservient to the other McGill brother. They both are on. They have to. They're reactionary to the other McGill brother. So let's see. So Chuck, she asks who was moved.
It's almost like friends whose parents are fighting.
In a way, yes, yes. So let's see. Chuck. So she's asking you who was more concerned with nepotism. Chuck was most concerned with the nepotism, which leads to an objection, which leads to. Basically, the thing's going to be coming up a few times in this conversation is going to be leniency. Leniency will just be kind of like our way of kind of expositing. Okay, well, our bar hearing guys, they kind of let them off. They let them go wild here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the leniency. By the way, to address the leniency, we won't have to address it anymore. Is that with the leniency, I like that it's a good, unpredictable factor that. You don't really get a lot. It's kind of this good unpredictable factor. Like it makes it. Sorry, I'm just trying to find my words here. It separates it from your court procedures. Like we know what's going to happen. Like we know what can be said or not said. But this kind of throws that factor of like you think you know what's going to happen. Hey, it's leniency. It's not an actual court case. Anything could happen. These guys could be favorable not only to Chuck's side. They're not fully biased to Chuck like we were expecting. They're being fair on both sides here. But again, it could be in anyone's ball game. Mm-hmm. So after that bit. So Howard distracts from the hiring point with a mention of Davis and Maine, which thankfully Kim does not.
Yes, I love that. That's like a little because I think Howard's still a little bitter about that. The fact that he vouched for Jimmy for Davis and Maine.
Yes, and again, this is so interesting about Howard Hamlin. Howard Hamlin has a little bit of fight in him. Again, he could have torn her down if he really wanted to. If she pushed Davis in, he could have taken her down.
Sure, absolutely.
On that, I'm saying on that, like on anything relating to him, because again, like the two of them, again, I would have related again. The two of them put Jimmy forward with Davis and Maine, which Jimmy backfired on. Anyway,
so Kim's kind of bringing up Jimmy being the caregiver to Chuck, and
yes.
And that brings up the prosecuting attorney just kind of ejecting that it's not a hearing about McGill's mental health, which is going to come up throughout the episode. That kind of tension, yeah.
This is not a hearing. This is not Chuck's hearing. It's Jimmy's hearing. So let's see.
It's like they're trying to paint Chuck in a light here without actually while still dancing around the parameters of the courtroom rules.
Yes. So let's see. So no more questions. Jimmy's looking to Francesca, and she gives him kind of the nod of no, not yet. So let's see. Allie motions to play the tape, which, of course, as we, the audience, know, is not good.
No.
So, Allie's motioning to play the tape. Kim, for a final time, tries to object. And again, the leniency, basically, we would like to call a leniency no-go, which means, hey, you've been warned of this before, and of course, we're going to allow the tape, and you try to suppress before, so, this tape will be heard. And importantly, I like that the one, I tried looking the credits for these guys' names. Unfortunately, all the they're just kind of chairman and kind of bar association members. That they're all kind of one's a female, one's kind of a larger guy at the end. And we have kind of our lead guys. So the point is, one of them said, the guy at the end says, "Well, to understand Chuck, we need to understand that Jimmy kind of establish if tampering did occur. If a lawyer attempted to, tamper with another,
right, sure."
So let's see. So Francesca tells Jimmy there's like a 40-minute flight delay, which is not good. Which means Jimmy and Kim are going to stall as much as they can. So they try stalling for a moment. Can we have a moment to review? Which I love the cleverness of this. Basically, if they ask to review, this is their way of. If they're looking busy, they're looking like they're flipping through papers, so they can whisper to each other, without kind of like having it on the like the stenographer take note of it or anything. So, see, Chuck, meanwhile, is preparing a statement. Thanks to Chuck.
Oh God, yeah, he's basically just this just shows how calculated he is, Dragon. That he doesn't have any emotion for his brother is what I take away from this. It's all a game to him. He's basically just he's going over ways that he can answer the "Do you hate your brother?" question, which is something that I'm sure him and the attorney like went over beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, he's like, in some ways, I admire him. And then he kind of makes a comparison to Ted Kaczynski.
I just love that he puts
ridiculous.
himself on. Ted Kaczynski had a brother. Just the fact he's putting himself on such a pedestal.
Yep.
He's comparing Jimmy to a
good
bomber.
In him, but the law, and oh god, okay, here's fuck Chuck number 2. Okay, Chuck just lingers on this statement that he comes up with that he just loves. Man, he's just so self-satisfied with it. He's just like, the law is too important. Oh, I like that. That's great.
And
that's
I love
such good wordplay.
This sequence. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to undercut you.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
What's so great about the scene too, just Chuck alone, just kind of going to story. It shows you again unequivocally that again Chuck is calling himself. I'm like, oh, that's too sanctimonious. When him calling himself on the Ted Kaczynski comment. I'm saying overall, it's what he's doing here. He's going over the story a whole bunch of times just to make sure it sounds most believable. And it's basically so it doesn't play into Jimmy's hand of like it's brother versus brother.
Sure.
Which is what he's expecting. You're right, though. He's enjoying and building himself up. Enjoys ego at the law. He thinks of himself as like the action here. He thinks of himself as he's looking for vindication and superiority against over slipping Jimmy. He's like, I can finally rid the world of slipping Jimmy. I'm going to be the hero. Yeah.
Right.
I put slipping Jimmy not behind bars. I took away his license. I took the machine gun away from the chimp.
Oh God. Okay. So then we come back to the courtroom, and the tape is being played, and we get some of the best clips from the tape. Like,
this is so well shot.
Howard. I'm sorry. HHM, more like Scrooge and Marley. You're all sitting there drinking tea and chortling with each other. And yes, I added tea in there.
So, didn't they mention tea in the episode though?
Did they? They might have.
I'm asking you.
Actually.
They were. No, wait. Was it margaritas or was it, I don't know? It might have been a drink.
I think it's mojitos or something.
It was mojitos. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. With the tea because I like the tea a lot better. But
okay, right.
Anyway, let me see. So
because it seems like when you chortle, you do drink tea. Tea is a very chortle drink.
Anyway, so something to mention with this scene is, again, I love this, and we've been doing this all this season, and we keep doing it now, is that we heard the tape, we heard the scene at the end of last season, and we've heard the tape at various points in this season, because, again, you don't want to just repeat the same shot of, like, this whole scene that word for word. You don't want to, it'll bore people. But if you add, like, an element of, like, visual flair to it, where, okay, we hear the tape on the outside, and we're panning into the courtroom, and as certain parts of the tape play, we focus on certain characters. Like, for example, just like for example, like Kim deserves Mesa Verde. She looks to Jimmy, and then she suppresses that because she feels like very. Again, it's kind of, I have to get an interpretation for that, but I would say she's suppressing the urge of I care about this guy so much, he cares for me. The chairman hears the Scrooge and Marley and points after all the reactions and such. Your word against mine. We focus on Jimmy, and we have him remembering kind of the betrayal of Chuck, just your word against mine. Oh my God, he taped me the whole time. The chairman and the whole group, they're taken aback by this for a moment. They process it, which I thought was really tough.
Right. And it very much is kind of plays into the bingo at the end of last episode, right? Where it's playing the tape kind of paints Chuck in this light that kind of puts him on the defense for the rest of the episode.
Again, Jimmy is insanely likable because, again, they have to go outside Albuquerque to find someone who's
charisma is Jimmy's superpower.
It is, because how can you not root for that's an impassioned performance on that tape? How can you take anything away from him? Yeah,
exactly.
This guy's been wronged by his brother every which way. How can we not root for this guy? But I also read it as, I tell me if you like this or not, but maybe at the end, it's after taking that in, then they realize, oh, wait a minute, now we're going to bring Chuck in. Now we just heard that. It's our whole perspective's been colored by. We're going to.
Of course.
I think the irony is now striking them after we basically.
Chuck playing the tape just painted him in a light that he just was totally unintended on his
I
side.
think a part of it kind of maybe weighs on that. Oh, we're about to give the guy an entrance after that.
Right, exactly.
So they collect the funds, they dim the lights, yada yada yada. They remove the clock, which is it's just a weirdly interesting bit. They just remove. Of course, they have to remove the clock. I'm just saying, like, hey, that clock was kind of focused on earlier on, like the clock's ticking shot. Like now, time is not a factor. I don't know. So Jimmy left his phone in the car. He claims.
Oh yeah.
He claimed confidently. Chuck arrives in the space. He goes. Oh, here's a big important bit. You want to take us through?
Yeah, sure. I mean, he basically just is going up a staircase as a very familiar figure is going down the staircase, Dragon.
Yes. He bumps into Chuck
into him, maybe does a little fidgeting with his hands, you know.
And as Chuck goes upstairs, it's revealed, if we didn't know it already, which we did, it's revealed. It's Huel!
It's Huel! Yes.
Yes!
Awesome! Lavelle Crawford!
And by the way, just to give Lavelle, Tiki and I, we're not going to go into the ins and outs of it, just to clarify, I was wrong, Tiki. We don't have to go into the reason why.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're wrong. He's looking good, right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. Here's the thing, Tiki. I was so... honestly, just real quick, all I'm going to say is that I was so taken. I was just so wrapped up with it's you.
Right,
I just didn't notice. I just honestly, but you're right. Though. It's like, yeah, he absolutely does look fantastic. It's so great, and what's so great about it too is the fact that it's in the past. It's like, oh man,
yeah, it totally adds up. Right.
It's great. That's just that's a way of working that in there, and just on the whole, Huel just to mention, so it's a brilliant use of Huel here because it's plot relevant. It's a great fan pumping your fist in the air. Yeah, we brought
and I just love how Huel just gives the knowing smile to the camera, yeah, you all know you love me.
Yeah, that's the guy who laid on a bed of money.
I know who that is.
Yeah, but seriously, it was really great to see. You're right, the Lavelle Crawford. He didn't say it. Well, actually, he has a great line when it comes later on, but he was used perfectly, integrated very organically. So again, moving on from the Huel level, we got a little bit of it more later on, but we'll put a pin in it right now. So Chuck is sworn in. Let's see. Allie is. He skips the burglar. Says, "We already know him. We already caught. He caught the burglar. We're just gonna move past that." So then, and by the way, it's the imaginary assault. Again, I'm still amazed they got the assault in it. There was no assault. Anyway, the burglary and the assault. That was such a prickish move on Chuck just to add the assault in there. Anyway, so I'm still.
I believe we need to make very sure that the wording is correct, Dragon.
Even Chuck said it wasn't assault when he was telling the lawyer. They still got assault. I'm just so peeved by the assaults. Every time the assault's mentioned. Anyway, sorry. Let's move on. So, he's asking all about the tape. All the questions are about the tape. So, Chuck, just to boil it down here again, well, of course, when we get to the super important ending, we'll cover that in great detail.
Of course. And Dragon, just so you know, I have the ending monologue ready to go.
Great, because I was worried about that in the beginning. We're all good.
Yeah, I got it.
So Chuck, let's see, boil it down a little. Chuck explains that he made the tape because he suspected Jimmy was essentially helping Kim get a client back, Miss Verde. She and as Kim initially objects, he then points out she had no knowledge of it. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. And importantly, and this is very important. Again, I don't learn some of the important legalities here. He claims, and he states very clearly, he had no evidence of this, but he knows his brother's capabilities. Essentially, that's what he said.
Sure.
That's gonna be really important. So when we speculate,
big time.
Maybe. Let's see. So again, the leniency here is Chuck out past again Kim calling along. He just said he had no evidence. We'll hear him out. Let's see where he goes.
Right.
So
let's see where this goes.
So the leniency here
it's like the people that are doing the hearing are kind of the audience. You know what I mean?
Essentially, yes. You're right. God, yes. So the leniency here's Chuck out, despite having no proof. Kim argues speculation as Chuck kind of goes and what Jimmy's been up to.
Yeah.
On why Jimmy broke in on him.
He basically mentions that the tape was a setup for a more ironclad case.
Yes, it was part of building a case. That's kind of his main rush. Yes. So Allie asks if Chuck was in control of his faculties. Of course, he's going to come back.
We go. Can we just get fuck Chuck number 3 and 4 here?
Well, save four. Don't waste all your F trucks. Let's save one
No,
for
I
later.
have two of them, and one he does two of them in like one moment here.
Oh yeah,
Because basically he's just like, oh well, what you were hearing there was just a little bit of theater.
well,
It was a
that's
little bit
one.
of an exaggeration, and that's fuck Chuck number 3. Okay,
That's what I'm saying.
Dragon.
I'm
Okay,
agree with
that's
you.
number 3. That's number 3. But we'll get to the next one very soon.
He's like, just tell me, is four in this scene or is it later on?
It's in this scene.
Okay, okay, I just forgot about it. We'll go through it. We'll go through it.
All right, all right. So
There's a lot of them. All right, I
Chuck's
gotta be
basically
clear.
describing his disease, and and Allie, he's just like, well, no doctor has ever diagnosed you.
Oh right, I'm sorry. I remember.
Here we go, Dragon.
I remembered
The
it.
nerve of this guy. The fucking nerve of this guy. This might be the worst fuck Chuck in the entire series, Dragon.
There is one that follows this in this. Again, there's a lot of them, folks. We just gotta keep track of them. But there's one after this that I think might be worse.
Can you explain the AIDS comparison that Chuck makes? Because it's just sickening.
I can, but let me just clarify so we're not losing all of our F Chuck points here. So, Chuck makes it clear he's in control of his faculties. Chuck says era theater. He claims it's all theater. Okay, here we go. So he compares his undiagnosable condition, which Tiki and I have been through ever since season 1 that we looked into it 2002, even to this day, to be honest with you. Again, the Chuck's condition still cannot be proven one way or another. Let's make that clear so no one gets lost during this. Mm-hmm. Literally, I mean, his thing cannot be claimed because, again, they can't make a judgment if it's mental or physical. That's where his condition's always been. So he compares his undiagnosable condition to AIDS.
Oh boy.
Which wasn't diagnosed until.
Oh boy. Trigger.
Which essentially wasn't diagnosed. As long as it wasn't diagnosed until 1981, and HIV, I want to say, wasn't diagnosed until
83, I think.
Yeah, yes, I believe that's the line. So essentially, he says he then goes on to say, EHS, the electromagnetic hypersensitivity, affects Chuck physically. He's making the physical claim, which again we'll wait on that later on. I don't want to get into the whole thing yet. But
okay.
The point is, we're going physically.
Point is, he compares himself to an early AIDS patient, so fuck Chuck.
Which it's not cool.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So then we have this really great one. Then the line. This is the one I think might kind of outdo that. You're right though. That one's you're very justified.
Okay, by the way, I have his whole answer to the "Do you hate your brother?" question. If you want me to read it.
All right. Let me set up a little.
Set it up. Yeah.
I was asking very directly. Do you hate your brother? And what Tika's about to read is basically it's going to build to this statement of what I like to call irony bound. I wrote in my notes, irony bounds that hypocrite. It just really does. And this to me made me more angry than more like in the show you're in the moment angry. I don't really know.
I don't know. The AIDS thing really set me off, Dragon.
I'm saying for me,
I don't think anything tops the AIDS thing.
This to me was like you're hating because you're supposed to hate a moment for me. So I'm saying I guess it's for different reasons, but for me, this is like the same level of hatred you're actually feeling for the AIDS thing. But it's like just
I love my brother. Can I go?
Yeah, go.
Right.
Yeah.
I love my brother. There's nothing malicious in Jimmy. He has a way of doing the worst things for reasons that are almost noble.
Mother, son of a...
The law is not to be toyed with. It's mankind's greatest achievement. The idea that no matter who you are, your actions have consequences. And that's the way my brother treats the law. It breaks my heart. That's why I did what I did. Not to hurt him, but to protect something that I hold so sacred. Fuck Chuck number 5.
Hey, we thought that was 4.
No, it's okay. It's the one at the beginning, then we took one away.
All right, I'm sorry. You're right. It's 5. It's 5. Sorry. Yeah. I got it.
Okay.
Don't doubt you got it. But yes. Again,
also, Dragon, I just realized that my Michael McKean impression is basically like a higher pitched Wallace Shawn. Yeah,
at the end,
it's got that same sort of cadence,
You know what's funny? At the
end,
end,
sorry, go ahead.
At the end, something sounded off with it. I didn't think Wally Shawn. I thought he sounds like kind of like a really. It's like a parody of Mr. Rogers almost.
Oh God, I could see that. Anyways,
it's like parody again. It's not Mr. Rogers. It's like when people do parodies of Mr. Rogers. That's what it sounds like the overly. It's like it's almost like the Fairly Odd Parents. Like it's okay to feel sad.
Oh God. Okay,
essentially, it was Mr. Rogers crossed with Forrest Gump. But anyway, Well, but I was getting over the line. There's the one is the irony bounds line for me is just that whole when Jimmy's reaction to this too. Just he has a way of doing things for of doing the worst things for reasons that sound almost noble. Again, he doesn't get it. Just it's the fact that McKeon plays that so evilly, but you get a sense that Chuck doesn't realize the irony in that though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He doesn't realize that that's exactly what he's doing.
Right. Exactly.
I just want to shake him and look at yourself, you moron. Look what
you're not allergic to mirrors.
You're doing just what you said, you stupid idiot. What's wrong with you? You stupid mother.
Okay. I'm gonna put the pin in it, Dragon.
Right. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. So Jimmy and Kim stall to confer, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So we're stalling.
Yes, but luckily, as they're stalling, Rebecca arrives just in the nick of time.
Enter Rebecca, Part 2.
Yes, that's the theme. Yes. Okay. Yes, Rebecca enters to much to Chuck's surprise and chagrin. So Chuck asked for a moment, asked for a moment to compose himself, which they kind of all ruled genuine. I'll go to the 15-minute recess. Everyone take 5. We'll take 15. Everyone take 15. So then we have, and I love this. I don't know if you noticed this, Tiki, but especially on the rewatch, it's kind of occurred to me that Chuck, as he walks over to Rebecca, Jimmy leaves, just like in the mirror of the opening, where Jimmy's leaving while these two have a conversation. Only now it's with a kind of a darker, like reverse context. Like, okay, what if Chuck did tell her the truth? That's kind of
right. Exactly.
So Jimmy leaves them so them alone. They have their little reunions. How does the reunion go?
Okay, let's see. Basically, Rebecca is kind of explaining that Jimmy's the one that ultimately reached out to her, but it was kind of in an act of sympathy and like, look, I think you should be here for him. He's having a tough time of it, which, I got to say is pretty underhanded on Jimmy's part,
It is, but I mean, it's, again, like Chuck struck first. He
exactly.
He taped him. He taped him and he used it again. That there's no, again, the whole, that Bobo and Chris, the whole you're going to die alone thing, that summarizes Jimmy's feelings on Chuck. I mean, that's...
And so Chuck's being very upfront to Rebecca. He's like, look, I know what's going on here. My brother's trying to get into my head, and he brought you here so that you could attend the hearing, and it'd be a psychological diversion for me, but it's not going to happen, Rebecca.
I got to tell you, you know what just really... it rubs me the wrong way in the right way it should. I'm just saying it really just kind of gets under my skin with Chuck in this scene. Is the fact that he doesn't... Again, this shows you the problem of what Chuck's true problem is versus the illness is that he can't just be happy that Rebecca's there. He has to just he instantly thinks the worst of, okay, Rebecca's here as part of Jimmy's plan. He's seeing the sinister quality of it. He's just skeptical right off the bat. Then he realizes he's confirmed on this that, okay, she's here purely as a manipulation on Jimmy's part.
Sure.
And then I hope he caught this, Teak. I really do. Is that what he does is that he implores her to stay. She which of course, by the way, Rebecca mentions that she was sent pictures, and of course they basically get the payoff of Mike's stuff mentioned here. Is that
that's what the pictures were for,
yes,
right?
Yeah, he took the picture.
Oh wow, okay.
Pictures were twofold. The pictures were sent to her, and he uses them in the case too. So they're both. That's why they're duplicates of the pictures.
Sure.
So. He sent pictures to her and used them in the case, but also that's where the address was Rebecca. So all the Mike stuff did pay off. So again, Mike's transcendental. He did very much help the episode. So anyway,
I'm like a guardian angel, and you don't even see me. I'm that cool.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. I'm gonna float away in a Mary Poppins umbrella, and you all
He's Mary Poppins,
and you're all gonna think it's the most badass thing you've ever seen because I'm Mike Trout. All right,
and Michael Rooker's like on the set saying, "Been there, done that." So anyway, so the bit I was getting at, so past the Michael Trout, I don't know, is that again Chuck can't be happy with her. So here's the sanctimony set where Chuck she says, well, I can see your little bothered by him, which again tonally she can see, okay, he's really not happy for me being here. I'll be in town a few days afterwards. Let's reconnect. Let's get together. Again, she's offering her genuine sympathies as she would have done way back when, just being there for Chuck. But again, his pride just didn't allow it.
Right.
Chuck then asked Rebecca to stay in the courtroom. Because he wants to show her and the
Oh
rest
boy.
that
Oh
Jimmy
boy.
is up to no good. He wants to be proven right in Rebecca's eyes. He wants to. He's gonna try to use Rebecca against me. Screw that. I'm gonna tear him down in front of Rebecca and just point out how pathetic his slipping Jimmy Con is here. He wants to. That's the only reason he wants Rebecca there. He just wants to rub it in his face.
Right. Right.
Yeah, he's using Rebecca as a tool of revenge. That's not cool.
No, it's really not. Yeah.
Again, she's doing like the nice thing of it. Oh, I see. Like you're not really happy. So again, she's doing the nice thing, and he's turning that nice gesture into these. Can't just be happy that she's there.
And
Anyway,
Dragon,
so
I'm sorry. I just need to mention that at this point, I kind of like. I'm just kind of going by the wiki at this point. So I do have the ending monologue, but just give me a fair warning. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we're almost through it. So
I know,
let's see. Okay, so we have a vending. So we have Jim and Kim at the vending machine here. This is a nice bit here, and this kind of has two layers to Kim Wexler here, which is really interesting. Is that Kim comments on Rebecca, just like, oh, she's not what I expected.
That's so nice, like just the idea that, like, oh, I thought she was probably expecting like some stick up her butt, like mean old lady, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a nice comment of like, I think she's too good for Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
So she now importantly, now this is the scene I'm talking about earlier, focusing on Kim, is that Kim she reminds Jimmy that she'll hate you for this. She'll hate you by the time it's done. She'll hate you. So this implies that Kim is down for this plan with Jimmy. The fact that she's mentioned
right, and it's like I feel like that's like a fascinating arc for Kim right now, is that she is definitely going down the Slip and Jimmy rabbit hole.
You really gotta wonder, could. Mm-hmm. I know we're getting a little bit of speculation, real briefly here. Real briefly, is that you gotta wonder down the line, how on board is she going to be with Saul Goodman? I mean, will there be a point where she could be Mrs. Saul?
Let's put a pin on it. Let's put a pin on it.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, remind me of it.
Oh, so, I will. Believe me, that's a big part of my spec.
Good. Okay, so Kim's down for this plan, and Jimmy's again the way Jimmy was. I will speak of Saul Goodman to this extent though. This that Jimmy's walking off, and this to me on the rewatch, Jimmy crumpling up his little snack bag and throwing it away, just walking off, leaving Kim next to the vending machine. I think that's symbolic of him going down the Saul Goodman the Saul Goodman path without hesitancy to get revenge on Chuck, and basically him with the plan he has in store for Chuck is a very Saul Goodman-esque plan. That's going to be the birth of Goodman.
Sure.
That's going to be the tease we got in Mabel. That's kind of essentially what what he's going to be doing to Chuck here. Is that the Saul Goodman tactics we got a little tease of he was willing to do to that captain in Mabel. Anyway, so Jimmy's cross-examining Chuck. So basically, Kim turns it over to her co-counsel, which is a nice little loophole of like Jimmy started off as his own lawyer, and now Kim's his lawyer too, so co-counsel.
Sure.
And again, a fun little loophole you don't get in any legal show would never allow this, but again, it's because it's a loose hearing. They can get away with it. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So again, this is where we get again that Saul Goodman kind of brief glimpse in the navel right here. So Jimmy essentially is focusing on the why and how of the tape. Because again, the burglary is just it was said and done there. They don't have to focus on it.
Right, sure.
Chuck is just in this scene. He's a ruthless killjoy for the proceed. It's like he's mocking the procedural so much. He's like, again. This is like that. Again, this is the crux of it here. Where again, we're really playing fast and loose with the procedural thing. But this would never happen on any show. Where Chuck's just like the minute Jimmy says something, he's tearing him down. So do you even know what you're doing?
Right.
You never get that. So he's just tearing. Again, this is the brother versus brother scene we've been building this whole season.
Yeah.
He's tearing down Jimmy's tactics on the stand. This is like the brother saying to the other brother that we've set up with the whole chimp with the machine gun. You're not a real lawyer, and I'm going to prove it in front of all these people. This is him saying, you got your American Samoa thing. I went to law school for years. It's like that's the divide is coming out through these two lawyers kind of going up against each other. Mm-hmm. So let's see. So he's really every tactic Jimmy's taking, Chuck's just analyzing it on the stand and throwing at him that just trying to humiliate Jimmy on the stand, prove that that Chuck prove that he is the superior lawyer to Jimmy. So let's see. So just getting on what was said here is that he is. what all that stuff I was just kind of describing is basically where Chuck mentions as Jimmy brings up the tape, he says, "Oh, this is the part where you deny it's your voice on the tape," and then Jimmy supports.
I love that subversion. Right, because that's just something that both Howard and Chuck were just anticipating that was never even in Jimmy's mind.
And again, that's such
if
a
anything,
great
like Kim briefly brings it up, and Jimmy kind of brushes it off. You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. It's great. It's a wonderful tapestry. It's been built here. That's just where Jimmy just kind of takes the expectation, turns on, and said, "No, that was me. Yeah, that is me on the tape."
Oh, it sort of rhymes, Dragon. It's like poetry.
Thanks, Mr. Lucas.
Oh, and you're welcome. Excelsior.
Wrong catchphrase, but an awesome interaction. Yeah.
all right. I can say I'll look so.
I wonder if Stan Lee's gonna say, "May the Force be with you." That would be amazing.
May the Force be with you, true believers. And I just realized that my Stan Lee voice is very similar to my Mike voice.
Jonathan Banks is Stan Lee.
Oh yes, please.
Anyway,
no, I'm saying like old Stan Lee is Jonathan Banks, young Stan Lee is Bryan frickin' Cranston.
This one, yes, yeah, I'm down for this.
I'm just putting that out there, man.
Again, if I had to pick one, that sounds awesome. But I'm thinking maybe Banks is the narrator and Cranston as Stan Lee. Oh, maybe he's an internal monologue could be Jonathan Banks.
Oh God.
Anyway, let's let. Oh wait! I got it better.
Okay, quick.
Real quick. Okay, you ready for this? Is it better?
Look how excited you are. Go.
So, Bryan Cranston is Stan Lee in the Stanley Bible. Bryan Cranston, Stan Lee. Jonathan Banks.
Yes.
Jack Kirby.
Oh boy. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I could see it.
I'm right with it. He's perfect for Jack Kirby. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, but. Anyways.
So. Go say there. So.
Yeah, you did.
Let's, just back to this. We're trying to let Jimmy understand. No, it's me. Jimmy establishes the again. He's seeding the thread here. As is going to be brought throughout the things that he's establishing that the pain of the electricity on Chuck, how it feels. He said touching that tape recorder must have been like putting a hot iron to your face. Not those exact words, but essentially, using the using the recorder or being near it establishes you feel the effects then.
Mm-hmm.
So he establishes that the room was covered in mile, or essentially what Jimmy's doing here. He's building what I've been calling this since the beginning of this season. I've been calling that he could always say he was just lying to make Chuck feel better. And I love that was used in the scene. I was so glad it's less just the fact that's calling like, "Oh, aren't I fancy?" Just like that's gonna be a loophole. That's gonna be a plot hole. They don't address that, and I love that they address that.
Mm.
So he establishes that the room was covered in milers. This suggests that Chuck definitely it was a convincing act that Chuck looked like he was out of his mind. Who wouldn't try to talk down a crazy guy like that? Essentially, was what Jimmy's getting out with this whole scene. Is that he's setting the events in question. That's kind of why that's his defense of how we can keep going down this rabbit hole. So essentially, Jimmy's trying to prove entrapment. That's the other crux of what he's proving. He's proving that this was entrapment, that Chuck was behind. Then Chuck cuts him off, saying, "No, this was It was not entrapment. This was a provoked admission in adverse intent."
Yeah.
So basically, Jimmy's asking you how Chuck would know that it would work. How would you know it would work, Chuck? Because basically, Jimmy gets to the point where he says, you knew I'd say anything. How would you know that I would say anything to talk you down? You're trying to get it all set. But then Allie tries to object, and he says, "Okay, we're trying." Again, Jimmy's playing fast and loose. He's
just going with the punches, man. It's like a boxing match with words.
Exactly. It's a verbal. It's a metaphor. It's metaphorical, but no, not as metaphorical as Taserface, but it's the next best thing.
Nothing goes over my head. I will catch it. All right, that's a classic Guardians reference.
Yes. So. It's important. Like again, Jimmy has a trump card, which he kind of lets fly with. Is okay, no, let go. because he has better stuff now. He's building a path. He's building a path. So, okay, withdrawn, via the objection. So he then goes to exhibit. I want to say it's exhibit 9. Exhibit 9, where these are the photos of. So what your house look like normally? You called this normal, basically showing all the wires outside, and it's kind of humiliating to Rebecca, by the way. Just
oh yeah.
Rebecca's seeing those photos again, just seeing like again how the house looks again. The big photo in question, the lantern on the newspapers,
the smoking gun.
Yep, and one of your things one of the things you called definitely gets brought up here, where he says, "Would you, if I asked the doctor who granted me guardianship?" Basically, he makes reference to the guardian that the doctor who the guy's always treated Chuck, who granted Jimmy temporary guardianship, thought his condition was physical or not. Basically asked the response to that, and then of course there's an objection. But of course we know that doctor ruled that we're more in the mental than the physical, which again would definitely help the case. But the point is it objects because Allie objects because there was a medical thing called a TEG, which basically means like the test that would be able to tell that. It's like they're not admissible because again you can't diagnose Chuck's condition. So Jimmy shows his cleverness by pointing out this was great. Oh God, this was so good. Where Jimmy shows his cleverness. I love that the chairman's so impressed by this. That's so nice.
Yep.
Where Jimmy shows his cleverness as a lawyer. This is like kind of Jimmy's moment. Like this is Jimmy's
get on with it. Yeah.
This is Jimmy's proud of your boy moment, where he shows his cleverness by pointing out that mentioning Chuck's play acting as Chuck did earlier on, that claim that Chuck made reopens the subject of Chuck's mental state. You need to see Chuck. You need to see through Chuck's eyes to understand how Chuck would know Jimmy's thoughts. The chairman is impressed. If Jimmy, basically, because the question is raised, if Jimmy thought it was evidence or not, because otherwise, if he didn't think it was evidence, why did he break in? How would he know? And if Jimmy, you have to classify it that way. So, the only evidence that me getting the tape is that my brother, that tape exists, is that my brother hates me.
Oh, God,
so
right.
Let's see. Chuck claims that Jimmy claims that Chuck claimed. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
No, go ahead.
Chuck claims that he lied so Jimmy would tell the truth, and as Jimmy points out, Jimmy lied that he lied to make Chuck feel better about himself. Again, there we go. There's proof in the pudding, which proves that you need an understanding of Chuck, and then the leniency. Point is, the leniency allows all this, allows Jimmy to kind of fire into it. So almost there. So Jimmy establishes the symptoms. That started. Establishes that the symptoms that Chuck feels started after the divorce, and as Allie refutes the relevancy of this, Chuck calls Jimmy on his ploy here with Rebecca.
Oh boy! And he's so proud of himself too.
Yeah, scene. Refers to the opening.
I'm proud of my boy. I'll make you proud of my boy.
Don't think it quite works, but I'm going to go with it. Okay.
All right.
So
I apologize for anyone listening.
So he refers to the opening scene. You're referring to the opening scene we did a con together, essentially. So Jimmy attempts to, and you're attempting to. Oh, I love this. So Jimmy attempts to says you're attempting to break me like a confession on Perry Mason. I've been waiting for a Perry Mason reference ever since the first season.
Right.
We finally got a Perry Mason reference. Da-da,
all right.
Very happy. Where are my notes? Yes. Kind of a Thor like yes. So I just love it. They referenced it.
Yeah.
So have I? And then Chuck is great. Have I answered the question? Such a douchey delivery by Chuck. Says, have I answered your question? Have I answered the questions to your satisfaction? Jimmy's not giving up though. Jimmy's not. It's a verbal boxing match. Let's see. So then there's a little lung cancer reference as a nod to Walter White in the episode. They squeeze in a little lung cancer reference. Basically, all the stuff he compares almost to AIDS and such. And
we already went number 6.
Oh, come on, you can't. Anyway. So, so he wants to get the specific feel of the illness explained. Yada yada. The exit sign being referenced, like the exit sign is still going, so you can feel it, but he can deal with it because it's like basically currents and distance being mentioned. Then Huel enters as Jimmy gives a nod to Francesca. Let him in. Huel enters. So as Huel's entering, we establish the distance and the current stuff. Then we have the phone reveal, and then as it basically he leads Chuck to ask, "Is there something in your breast pocket, Jimmy?" And then Chuck, Jimmy pulls it out. He pulls out the phone, and then of course he sees yelled at like, "Hey, we told you no phones in here." And then he reveals, "There's no bat. Let me see that phone." He says, "Oh, it's okay. I'll let." Again, Chuck's allowing it. Chuck's taking the bait. He's taking the bait.
Right.
He opens the back of the phone. Nothing. No battery. There's no battery here, which again seems like okay. Well, Jimmy's got him. And then he yells at him, "Jimmy, why won't you just believe that I'm not? That's not a quirk. It's not an eccentricity. I actually feel this way." And then Jimmy says, "You're right, Chuck. You got me dead to rights." And again, they're forcing the board's forcing him to wrap it up. Okay, wrap up whatever point you're making. You're gone. You no leniency out the window. You're done. Frustrated, Chuck asked Jimmy. Oh God, Chuck asked Jimmy. I'm building your thing here. Building your thing.
Okay.
Frustrated, Chuck asked Jimmy, "What do I have to do to prove you it's not a quirk?" And then just a great moment of applause goes by, and a defeated, awesome Perry Mason moment occurs here, where Jimmy says, "Well, could you reach into your breast? I don't know, Chuck. Maybe you could reach into your breast.
And why don't we do that right now, Dragon? Why don't we do that right now? And what do we find? My God, they are AA batteries. Those totally fit inside phones. What a twist!" All right.
Yes, but a cell phone battery.
The visual representation here being
a cell phone battery. In the excess of time and build, I'm just going to go through like a Perry Mason reveal so I can build the Tiki's bit here. So, So, to Chuck's shock, Jimmy reveals that Huel slipped it into Chuck's pocket. Huel Babineau reveals that Huel slipped into his pocket, and he's on the witness list, which means Huel counts. And the battery was on Chuck for an hour and a half, and as Huel says awesomely, hour and 43 minutes. Thank you, Mr.
Right.
So again, well, we don't have any reveals. We have one big reveal, and that's at the end. We save all the reveals till the end, start doing like a quarter drum, every left and right too. Rebecca and Howard's amazement, this goes on. It proves that it works. He takes the bait, it works, and as Allie tries to object with the schizophrenia analogy, then Chuck snaps. And I'm sorry, real quick before I gotta frame it. So this scene and this whole ending here, this whole thing with Chuck is they took it from a Humphrey Bogart movie, and they're very proud of this. Canine Mutiny, and basically instead of batteries, it was strawberries. Basically, they were poisoned strawberries, and a guy Humphrey Bogart was tricked, and he's on the witness stand, and he loses it just as Chuck does here. So go.
I am not crazy. I know he swapped those numbers. I knew it was 1216. One after Magna Carta, as if I could ever make such a mistake. Never. I just couldn't prove it. He covered his tracks. He got that idiot at the coffee shop to lie for him. And then Allie's like, "Mr. McGill, please, you don't have to go into. You think that is something? You think this is bad? This chicanery?"
Absolutely.
He's done worse. That billboard. Are you telling me that a man just happens to fall like that? No, he orchestrated it. Jimmy, he defecated through a sunroof, and I saved him.
Yes!
I should have. I took him into my own firm. What was I thinking? He'll never change. Ever since he was 9, always the same. Couldn't keep his hands out of the cash drawer. But our Jimmy couldn't be our precious Jimmy. Stealing them blind, and he gets to be a lawyer. What a sick joke. I should have stopped him when I had the chance. And you have to stop him.
And as Chuck says that we basically kind of realize he kind of takes a breath here, and he recognizes as he looks at the board, because when he said you have to stop, he's telling to the board again. He's trying to call the shots because he made the recruits. He thinks he has some pull here. He's like saying you have to stop what you're doing, and he's giving the orders where he really shouldn't be. So doing that, it boils down to Chuck's. All that stuff just boils down to Chuck's ridiculous jealousy of his brother.
Oh yeah, and it's very clear on display.
And that realization, by the way, that shot is from, again, the whole scene is framed and everything like that, Canine Mutiny with the 3 people. That's why it's 3 judges.
Right.
So boils down to everyone's they've lost respect for their mentor, and Rebecca's embarrassed for Chuck. Hamlin I love Hamlin. He just looks away. He just can't look at him.
Right.
We have a sad Kim looking forward. Sad Kim. Chuck apologizes for losing himself there. He lost his train of thought, and he got carried away. He admits this, and then he asked, I love this how he kind of composes himself, and he asked Jimmy, anything else?
Any more questions, Jimmy?
And then he just says so somberly, no more questions. Then we just have a sad, vindicated Jimmy. He's vindicated, and then he's writing it all work part of the plan, because he's so sad to hear it. He's just really, he knew it was coming, but he won, but it's like, oh man, what I won. I won the Chicago sunroof argument.
Oh God, right.
So he proved, just to recap for the folks there, what happened. So he proved Chuck's bias, entrapment, and raised the question, of his condition, if his condition affects the mind, or if it is in his head, with all that stuff, with the whole battery example. So a lot of stuff's in red points. Chuck's character's been demolished. Honestly.
Okay, wow. And then, of course, we end on the haunting shot of the exit sign, and that is definitely symbolism for Chuck's exit from his legal career, I think.
Very, very, very much so. It's like the exit of it's like the end of the McGill relationship. It's
right,
kind of like,
sure, so much stuff. The episode should have just been called Exit, I think.
Yeah, that would have been good. I don't know. I like Chicanery though, because again, the whole ending here, like they're both the brothers are trying to one up each other in various ways throughout the season. I think it's a great kind of payoff to all that trickery on both ends.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying,
you're right though.
That would have been appropriate.
You're right though. I'm sorry. I mean, I just kind of yep. Yes, he kind of tricked him, and just kind of like the way Saul Goodman won. That's kind of like how we got him in the end. It's It's the exit. Again, might be the exit of kind of McGill and entry of Saul Goodman. Also, that's another thing of like is where the McGill name exits on both sides. The McGill name's been in shambles after this trial, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so promo
time. Yeah,
you saw the promo, right?
I did, but I haven't seen it since Monday, so you'll have to give me a refresher.
A lot of really cool shots. The ending was the best parts. I'm gonna play through it. So Poyos trucks. Howard telling Chuck that he's at a crossroads. Really good line.
Oh boy.
Victor and Tyrus. Victor specifically holding Nacho at gunpoint.
Oh God. Okay.
Jimmy and his film crew, and I love the film crew. All
three. Kid Kubrick.
Kid Kubrick, the boom guy, and the makeup girl.
Right.
Such a band. It's like a band of misfits. So Jimmy and his crew are. I have a funny. I might go into the speculation. I might say it for next episode. I'm not sure, but he and the crew are in front of this massage place. Hector's mad at Nacho. He's very peeved at Nacho for screwing something up. Presumably, it'd probably the Victor thing.
Right.
Let's see. Rebecca is talking with someone. Presumably Jimmy, might be Kim, but mainly probably Jimmy. Saying, it's time. You got away with it. It's time for you to do what's right.
Ooh, okay.
Like what's done is done. Now it's time for you to do what's right. So that's kind of that's a big thing. She says she's making a threat there. Jimmy is getting good buzz post trial. Like it seems like he's like entertaining some clients, possibly saying, "I'll do for you what I did for me."
Oh God,
that's literally what he says. That's what he says.
That's great. I love that.
Let's see. Howard's telling Chuck it's Jimmy's just not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing, two things. Drugs are unearthed. We have a Rolodex, so fun Rolodex.
Oh boy. Okay.
Nacho seemingly, I could be it goes by really fast. I think Nacho's beating the crap out of Crazy 8.
Oh, didn't
remember
we hear
Crazy?
Yeah, we heard that he was going to come on, right?
I didn't hear that. I remember him from season 2. I don't know if he was coming back or not. I'm just saying it looked a lot like identical to the He's wearing the uniform. He's still in the Tampico mattress uniform. I looked identical to Crazy 8. It might have been someone else. It makes sense to be Crazy 8. So last thing, most important thing.
Yes.
When it cuts to black, you hear Kim Wexler saying, Saul Goodman.
Okay, long story short of this, Dragon. Jimmy is going to win in court. However, Kim is going to be incredibly bothered by the whole situation. Especially, I'm predicting, Dragon, that Rebecca is actually having her conversation with Kim, which is why Kim specifically like spotlights the Rebecca thing. And then Kim is going to go with Jimmy with an ultimatum here to make both parties happy, which is...
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were like... I think that Kim is going to suggest the Saul Goodman name change. I really do.
Oh, that's awesome.
I really do. I really think we're building to that.
That's cool. That's a really cool idea.
Okay.
That would be great.
This next episode's called Off Brand. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some Polos Hermanos action going on there. You know, maybe like Hector's, winking Greek versus the Polos Hermanos.
I think you're absolutely right with that, but I still want my bizarre fan theory to come true. I think you're right. I think your thing's going to happen, but I still would love Howard Hamlin just having the shop off frame because of the bad press. And that's just his boiling point. Okay, I'm just fed up with Chuck. He embarrassed us, and now
they're still very nice suits. They're still very nice suits, but it's just
because in the wardrobe for Kim has to buy secondhand. So she buys secondhand that looks really nice. So she never buys a full suit. She has to buy pieces of the suit. So if Hamlin had to do that, you'd be freaking out over it. That's what I'm hoping. Like Hamlin can't afford his own color anymore. How perfect would that be? He can't afford his own color. And he has to just get an off-brand blue. Anyway, so speculation for me, I guess, real quick. So let's see. I'm thinking. I'm coming down on this. I think the bar association, out of respect, not just purely out of respect, just out of like. Jimmy copped to the crime basically as a show of good faith. He copped to the PPD. We're just going to stick to the PPD, let him be a lawyer. There was enough doubt there. Chuck really embarrassed us all, so we're going to let the dogs lie. But he's on probation for a year essentially, so we're going to let it lie.
Right.
I'm assuming that's what's going to happen, whether we see in so many words or not. I think it's assumed that it's what's going to happen. Let's see. I think. Good. So there's a chance of if for the Saul Goodman name that the aftermath of the fall of McGill, just like a lot of bad press, possibly even maybe HHM losing the M name for all we know.
Perhaps.
At the very least, just maybe I think at the end of next episode, just based on that Kim Webster thing, I'm losing my mind over. I think maybe that's going to be. I think we're going to get the Saul Goodman origin in the next episode. I think we're going to get the name.
Is so exciting.
Oh yes.
Oh, it's off-brand. Saul Goodman could be the off-brand of Jimmy McGill.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. That sounds.
I think that ties all up the spec with a nice bow. Unless you have anything else.
Well, it's still into Saul Goodman related. I think Hector is going to force Nacho to damage Crazy 8 to recoup losses that Nacho loses to Poyos gang. So let's see what the name is. I think Saul Goodman he's going to split Jim and Kim up. If and I think the victory of the trial is going to basically the callousness that Jimmy won that trial with is going to split Jim and Kim up, which is basically the Saul.
I think it's going to be like a slow split up, though. I don't think it's just going to be like Kim being like, Jimmy, we're done. I think it's just going to be Kim coming to the slow realization of what Jimmy's pulled herself into. You know what I mean?
Yes. And here's the one thing I'm going to throw at you in this last speculative that does link to Saul Goodman, so we get into it. And I suppose that I think Rebecca's plot going forward is going to be, I think. A part of me thinks, while your Kim Webster theory is really good, I think everybody's going to be tied in this regardless.
Maybe Rebecca is going to suggest Saul Goodman maybe as a means to the end just to keep Chuck happy.
I think she's going to somewhat, yes. I think you're right. I think just my point is, I think wherever Rebecca's got cooked up of like kind of making things right, that's going to end up with basically it's gonna be like the thing from the first episode, like him not using the McGill name. It's gonna harken back to the out of show of respect to Chuck. He won't use the McGill name, and he'll become Saul Goodman. So justice is done to Rebecca's standard. Whatever kind of that'd be the recompense for you kind of doing the underhanded stuff. And Chuck is wearing a watch in the promo. It suggests that he's gonna be trying to get over his illness.
Okay. All right, so let's get to two Saul Goodman quotes because we missed one the last week, Dragon. So making up for lost time here. Okay, Saul Goodman quote of the week number 1. He gave me the dead mackerel eyes.
Hey, yeah, Mike's not in this episode, folks, but he's with
No.
us in spirit.
Saul Goodman quote number 2. There's no honor amongst thieves, except for us, of course. All right.
Again, another kind of, it's like kind of funny how we keep drawing these. Again, very, very relevant somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Like, I mean, like the Jonathan Banks, there was also a fish who was in the beginning of the episode, mackerel fish.
God, okay, fair
The
enough.
loose connection, but still. So let's instead of calling our lawyer, I guess let's dial someone up. Let's dial because they're mentioned real briefly. Let's check in with our old pals at Davis, and maybe we'll get Cliff. Let's try scheduling appointments. So for those interested in Davis and May, 505 242 7700. Yeah, that's 505-242-7700, Davis and May.
Your use of this service is not constitute infringing client service. Thank you for calling the law offices of Davis and May. Free class action consultation. If you or a loved one is a resident of the
Hold it up a little.
Please leave your name, number, and your state of residence, and your call will be returned within 24 hours.
Omar!
Omar! He's back! All right.
Yes. You want
Final
me
thoughts?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Okay, so final thoughts. I'll save it for next time. I love this episode. It was great. It was a fantastic payoff to... again, it's like we kind of call this again. They ended on the Mike Hose bit again. It's kind of like the episode 8 from last season, where the next episode paid everything off expertly, and they kind of did that again. But
they did do that, right.
It's again they do it so darn well though. In this episode, it was such a fantastic payoff. It was so charged, brother versus brother. Again, the third act is the very memorable thing of this episode. Again, the brother versus brother aspect, but at the same time, we had some great building. It's very well directed. It's again super well written by Gordon Smith. The opening again is like a great kind of where the brothers were and where that kind of ended. It's a fantastic structure, and of course, like it's what's not said, what's between the lines, and like these little sympathetic kind of moments with Kim. Again, it's such a as the quote Peter Gould, it's a Swiss watch. It's a Swiss watch and a Fabergé egg. Fabergé watch and a Swiss egg. It's a Swiss egg.
Yeah, Dragon. I mean, like you said, I think this episode is just kind of a magic trick in terms of, if there was two things in the show that were key to the show's success, it would be A, having the involvement of Mike as a secondary main character along with Jimmy, and B, not actually doing any major courtroom stuff. This episode threw both those rules out the window and turned into like one of the best episodes of the series. I've seen this episode compared to Ozymandias on Reddit, and I don't think it's quite there. It's a great episode. It is, but
Vince Gilligan says it's his favorite of Better Call Saul. So
I believe it. I can believe that. But yeah, it's good to have the gang back together. It's good to see all the connections to Breaking Bad starting to take place, and also it's just a damn compelling human drama. And that's all I got to say about it. Okay. So that's all for now, folks. We'll be taking a temporary recess until next time.
Remember, kids, when you get that phone call, make it count. Better Call Saul. Saul Goodman and Associates is the one-stop shop for all your legal needs.
And with that, we are adjourned.
We could totally be lawyers.
Totally be lawyers. Oh, yeah. And Jimmy, one thing you need to be a lawyer is you need to have a sense of theatricality. You need to play it up a little, Jimmy, because that's what good lawyers do, Jimmy.